Topic 4.2. We'll be solving polynomial equations, and the solutions we can get out of this either one of three. We can get rational solutions, irrational solutions, or complex. Just to give you an idea of what each one of these will look like, a rational solution could be, let's say, x equals 1/2, or let's say x equals -5. Those are rational solutions. Irrational solutions could be x equals the square root of 5. Okay? Or, in some cases, I guess you can also get x equals pi. That's the irrational solution. Complex, you get something like this. X equals, let's say, 3i. Okay, that would be complex. Or maybe even x equals -4 minus 2i. Okay, that's another complex solution. So let's begin. Okay, this has a total of 4 solutions. You can tell that by the highest power. Now, to find the possible rational solutions, we're going to take x to be 8, here the final coefficient, the final constant over the first coefficient, which is 1. And then all the factors that can go into 8. Like 4 can go into 8, 2 can go into 8, and 1 can go into 8. So this is actually 4 possible rational solutions. If I put plus or minus here, it turns it into 8 possible rational solutions. Now, to see if any of these solve this, I'm going to start off with the number 1. And I'm going to start doing a trial and error to see what solves this. So starting with 1, I want to put 1 in for all the x's, so I'm going to use synthetic division, or the remainder theorem, which will be 1, 0, -9, 0, 8. 1 for the coefficient of x to the 4th, 0 for the coefficient of the missing x cubed, -9 for the coefficient of x squared, 0 for the coefficient of the missing x, and 8 for the constant. Okay, now let's start the process. We put 0 here, we add these. 1 and 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 and 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. -9 and 1 is -8. -8 times 1 is -8. 0 and -8 is -8. When -8 times 1 is -8. And +8 -8 is 0. So, since we got a 0, which is the solution here, x equals 1 is a solution. Or, we should say 0 is the final evaluation for this. Now let's try another number. Let's say x is -1. Let's try that. So, I'm going to use the remaining numbers here. 1, let's see, start here. Let's say x equals -1, using the remaining numbers. 0, 1 and 0 is 1. 1 times -1 is -1, which gives 0. 0 times -1 is 0, you get -8. -8 times -1 is +8, and -8 and +8 gives me 0. So since I got zeros and remainders, again, this is another solution. So now I have 2 solutions. And since I use synthetic division twice on a 4th degree polynomial, this final polynomial is down to a quadratic. This is 1x squared minus 8 equals 0. And I can use other methods to solve this quadratic to get the last 2 solutions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And we'll get x squared equals 8. Then I'll take the square root of both sides using plus and minus. The 8 breaks down to a 4 times 2, and the 4 can come out. So we get x equals 2 square root of 2 as one of the solutions. And the 4th solution is -2 square root of 2. So these are the 4 solutions. 2 rational solutions and 2 irrational solutions. Okay, number 5. We want to solve this polynomial. So we're going to get all the possible rational solutions first. So x could be, we use the final constant, which is 2 over the leading coefficient, which is 1, 2 over 1. And all the numbers that can go into 2, that's 1. So 1 over 1. So these are the 2 possibilities. And with the plus or minus, this gives us 4 possible solutions, rational solutions. Let's start off checking out x equals 1. The coefficients for x to the fourth is 1. The coefficient for the missing x cubed is 0. The coefficient for the x squared is negative 2. The coefficient for the x is negative 3. And the constant is negative 2. Okay. Alright, let's begin. 1 and 0 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 0 and 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 2 and a positive 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 3 and negative 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. And here we get negative 6. Okay, so that did not give us a 0 at the end. Next I want to try x is negative 1. So I have 1, 0, negative 2, negative 3, negative 2. Let's see what happens with this. 1 and 0 is 1. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 0 and negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 2 and positive 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Negative 3 and positive 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. And negative 2 and positive 2 is 0. So negative 1 is a solution. Good. Okay, let's see if we can find another solution. Let's try 2 next. X is 2. Okay. 0 and 1 make 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 1 and 2 is a 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 1 and 2 make 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 2 and a positive 2 is 0. So since we got 0 as a remainder, this is also a solution. So now we're up to 2 solutions out of the 4 that we're looking for. Okay, now since I used synthetic division twice on a 4th degree polynomial, this is down to a quadratic. So the quadratic will be a 1x squared plus 1x plus 1 equals 0. And I'm going to solve this by using the quadratic formula, where b is negative 1, opposite of b is negative 1, plus or minus the square root of b is 1 squared minus 4 times a is 1 and c is 1 all over 2 times 1. Alright, this simplifies down to a negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 1 minus 4 all over 2. And that becomes negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 all over 2. Okay, I can pull the negative 1 out of the 3 as an I, so I'll have a solution of x equals negative 1/2 plus I square root of 3 all over 2 as a solution. And I'll also have a fourth solution of x equals negative 1/2 minus I square root of 3 all over 2. So, a total of 4 solutions. 2 of the solutions are rational, and 2 of the solutions are complex.